Hello friends, good morning, good afternoon. In this session, we are going to cover DDL triggers in SQL Server. So let's start. First of all, we will see the definition of DDL trigger first. DDL trigger are execute or fires in response to the variety of data definition language events. Means what are the DDL events? Create, alter, drop, and there are some security related DDL events are grant, deny, revoke, or update statistics, correct. And first of all, I'm going to cover create, alter, drop in this video so that you can understand, yeah, means what are the DDL events and how to get the auditing from them, and on which objects we are applying that DDL events. Means there is a table, function, view, index, stored procedure. Means suppose there are multiple tables here, correct. And if I'm going to alter or create any table, so that event will capture at somewhere, so that the administrator can have a look on that and he can easily track what are the changes are happen on the database, correct. And one more thing, there are some Git repository or SVN or a version control system or a Terraform. With the help of we can track that changes, means what is the previous state and what is the next state, correct. Means we can have all the um, versions of the particular stored procedure or a table. But let's say I have a rights and I am directly uh, change that particular table definition on the production, or there is a stored procedure I altered and it never catch in the SVN, correct, or a Git repository. If we have to make a changes or a commit, then and then, yeah, that changes are happen in the Git repository or a Terraform script. But if I am changing the that particular schema, means altering the table or dropping the table on the production directly, then it how to log it. So for that we are using the DDL triggers. Means suppose there is a prevent the certain changes to your database schema, means we can log that activity and track the changes of the definition. Means let's say the table having the definition or stored procedure having the definition, if I am altering that stored procedure, so yeah, so who did, yeah, I did, and when it was happened, so whatever the time, so administrator or a particular database person can easily manage that, yeah, what are the changes are happened to the database in the runtime or on a production database. Got it. And one more thing, like DML triggers, there are means there are two tables, means we can call it as a magic tables, inserted and deleted. But in case of the DDL triggers, there is a don't create the special inserted and deleted tables. Okay. And next thing, first of all, DDL triggers are in a two levels. Mean one is a database level or one as a server level. First of all, and in the previous session, we seen DDL DML triggers on the, yeah, here is the part one and part two, correct. So you can refer to my videos and you will get the triggers in SQL Server. So those are the DML level triggers, correct. Means suppose let's say there is a table and table having the 5 records or a 10 records, correct. And so those are the DML, means on a record level, correct. But right now we are going to discuss about the definition level, means table schema or stored procedures, correct. These are the structure level changes, correct. So we are going to see about the database level and the server level. First of all, we will see the database level. Database level, it means, let's say here is the practice is the database, correct. And where to see database level trigger, first of all there is a programmability and there is a stored procedure function and there is a database triggers. First of all, refresh it so that you will get the triggers list at here. And what I am doing, first of all, what is the use case? Let's say there is a sales is the table, correct, and I'm going to create that sales table Yeah, no problem. But actually, um, we have to log that activity somewhere else, or we have to prohibit. Miss, actually, we have to restrict that action. Miss, suppose I am a database person, means I have a rights, but someone who don't have a rights. So how to restrict him? So we can create the trigger. Actually, it will restrict to all the persons. Means create the trigger and we are restricting drop table. Means suppose I'm going to dropping the table, so I am getting the same error because we are mentioning here the for drop table for all the persons. Means there is a no any mention. Yeah, suppose system admin can log in and then we can allow him and rest of the person we can't. So right now I am going to showcase at here. Means let's say how to restrict that first of all, and then next thing we can log that activity. Correct. First of all, I am creating the table. Yeah, there is a table already available, so we have to drop that. And yeah, here I am creating the table. Correct. So table is created. Select star from dbo dot cells. So we will get the definition. Means we will get the data from here. Right now there is a no any data. Correct. So only table is created. And what I will do, I will create a trigger. Suppose let's say here is the check for audit is the trigger I created, and the syntax of the trigger is a very simple. Create trigger name on database, means practice database for drop table. Right now I'm going to create the trigger, means I created the trigger for practice database, not for the all the database. Got it? And uh, in the begin and end, this is the miss you have to write the code. Yeah, miss there is a we are rolling back the transaction. What the miss let's say drop table or something like that. Miss we are using the drop table. That's why we are rolling back the transaction. So yeah, create the trigger. Yeah, the trigger is already created, so I am dropping the table. So you will get message you cannot create the table. Why? Because we applied the trigger at here. If you refresh it, then you will see, yeah, there is a check for audit trigger is called, and we are not able to drop the table. Let's say if you wanna list of triggers, then select star from sys dot triggers. So these are the miss on database level we created, and there is a when it was created, when it was modified, and then there is a is instead of trigger. So you will get complete list over here. And next thing, let's say we created the trigger for the drop table. Likewise, we can create for um, in, create, alter, and drop. Correct? Means create and alter. So I am going to create the trigger for means no one can do the operation like a create table, alter table, or a drop table. Got it? So we are using the three things at a time. Means there is a create table name, create trigger name on database for create table, alter table, and drop table. Got it? And so no one can able to create the table. First of all, yeah, there is a table is already exist. So it checks the first of all table is available, and then next checks is means suppose let's say, yeah, then next thing is the trigger level thing. I'm going to create the sales data table. So we will get the one message. It's because of the trigger applied on the create, alter, and drop, because we don't have any permission to create the trigger. Got it? And if you are uh, altering the trigger, then just alter trigger name on database, and then I am comment on the rollback transaction, execute it, and then create the table. So you will get the message, but in the background you can see table is created. Why? Because we are not rolling back the transaction. That's why. That is the meaning of it. Means we are rolling back the transaction means we are not carry forward that transaction to the commit state. That's the thing behind of it. And yeah, means we seen how to create it, then how to alter the trigger, and then how to drop the trigger. Yeah, there is a drop trigger name on database. This is the syntax of it. Means drop trigger name on database. Execute it so that trigger will drop. And one more thing, if you have to present means actually suppose that trigger you want in a future, then you can disable that trigger as well. Let's say I am creating the that trigger again. Okay, and I am preventing that action. And okay, trigger is created means we are not able to create, alter or drop table on that particular database. And if we refresh it, then you could see there is a check for audit and check for audit DB. Actually, it is for the, yeah, there is a new name. It is the check for audit means there is a only for the drop table, but we can club that all operations in a one single go. And yes, let's say I have to disable that trigger. So how to do that? First of all, copy it, and then this is the syntax for that. Execute it and then refresh it. So you will see disable trigger name on database. And let's say uh, select star from, okay, sorry, here, execute. Yeah. So at the end, you can see there is a disabled trigger. Correct? Means this trigger is disabled. Only one trigger is on right now. Means we can have a facility. We can create the table. Correct? Because in this we are restricting only the disable the trigger. Correct? In the this trigger, and this trigger, one more trigger at here. We disabled it. So if we disabled it, so it will not fire. Got it? So we can create the table. If we create the table, then you can, yeah, I think that that table is already present. So sales data, yeah, it is the already available. So best way to disable the trigger, yes, I disabled it and then I am enabled it again. First of all, disable, drop the sales data table. Yes, and then enable so that it won't allow the drop operation in the future. And then create the table. Create is allowed. Why? Because we the that trigger is in a disabled state. Got it? That's why we can able to create the table or alter the table. Means one trigger is in a disabled state and one trigger is in a unable state. If we see, yeah, here there is a enable means right now check for audit. Check for audit. It is the means it won't allow the drop table, but rest of the things we can do create and alter. Got it? Okay. Next thing, we can create the trigger on stored procedure level as well. Means let's say create procedure or alter procedure or a drop procedure. Means like likewise create table, alter table or a drop table. Got it? And same thing we can apply it for the stored procedure. So if we have to create the stored procedure, then yeah, it will say you don't have, means you cannot create the uh, create, alter or a drop procedure. Why? Because trigger is created uh, in the background. That's why. And we are rolling back the transaction. Means we are not committing that stored procedure. Here you can see there is a, new trigger is created at here, and you can disable it. So refresh it. Yeah, here there is a enable disable variation are not showing, but if you query it, then you can see, yeah, all the triggers. Let's say first one I have to disable, then you can then execute it. So all the triggers in a disabled mode, so you can do any operation, means like a create, alter, drop, store procedure. Got it? So create procedure, yeah, we can create. So execute, retrieve data. So you will get the data from the sales table. Right now there is no any data for sales, but yeah, means we can have a facility to call the proc. Means we can create the stored procedure or alter procedure. And next thing, server level triggers. Here we seen database level triggers, but if we have to see the server level triggers, how to see that? Yeah, here is the server, and server having the server objects, correct? And here is the triggers. So refresh it, and so right now I am going to create the server level trigger. So it will apply for the all databases. Means whenever there is a, if you are creating the table at dairy project, or if you are creating the stored procedure at in a Swaraj database, so it will not accept. Why? Because we are not allowing that operation, create table, alter table, or a drop table. Means you can't do anything with table. Right now I mentioned it for the table, that's why. If you are mentioning here the for stored procedure, then yeah, stored procedure we can't create, or means not able to alter or not able to delete or drop. So I'm going to create the trigger. So first of all, uh, I created it for the server level, correct? And then I'm going to execute it. Yeah, there is a object name, it is already present. So uh, if we create, yeah, let's assume it is the sales server is the new object. So miss that is not allowed, correct? And if I'm going to create it on another database, let's say HIMS, and then going to create it, so it won't allow because we created it on a server level. That's why it won't allow. And on database level, we seen already, yeah. And refresh it, so you will get that trigger at here, means check for audit server. Means whatever the actions on the server level, means on any database, so that will be prohibit, means that will restrict. Okay. And yeah, how to disable that trigger? Uh, so this is the trigger name, and then disable trigger name on all servers. So refresh it, so that is available, but you can create the table on, yeah, here you can create, and then in HIMS you can create the table. Got it? So it is, means we disable that trigger, that's why. And if you see select star from triggers na, then check for audit. Yes, first of all, yeah, if we have to see the server level triggers, then you can use server triggers. Let's say here is the triggers, and there are the server level triggers. Means here is the server, and it is disabled or not. So if we have to disable that trigger, then yeah, just execute it. And yes, here is the, which is the disable, and um, it is the server level, and these are the database level. Got it? And yeah, one more thing, we restrict the action here. Means suppose we are uh, not allowing create table or a alter table or a drop table or a procedure related things, but we have to allow that, and we have to maintain that track. Then I created the one table at here. Means let's say first of all, I am dropping existing all the triggers, and I will show you the demo for how to audit them. Correct. Drop trigger. First of all, how to drop the trigger on database, sorry, server level. Drop trigger name on all server. Got it. And then trigger on database. Okay. One more is remaining. If we execute, there is a no any triggers. Correct. Means all the things are flushed. And right now we have to see, means we have to capture who did that activity and when did that activities happened. Correct. So I created the one simple table, create table, audit table, and um, the data is like look like as, first of all, means a database name, a table name, event type, and then login name, and which SQL command is come in that session, and then created date time when it was happened. Correct. And so I'm going to create the trigger on database level. Got it. And execute it. Oops. I will explain you the code of the trigger, but before of that, uh, I'm here. First of all, create the simple table, create table name, then let's say sales practice. Correct. Execute it, and then s- I'm going to alter table name, add created date time, date time. Yeah, this field I am adding. Okay, and then yeah, I'm not going to drop that. First of all, I am selecting the data from it. Yeah, so there are two events are catched here. Means who did and when did that table is altered. Means let's say practice is the database name which is captured. Which table is created? Sales table is created. Create table and alter table happened. Okay, then which command is came, then after that alter table is happened. But yeah, which table? Suppose let's say I am adding the constraint, so that uh, command is come into the alter table. Okay, and let's say I am dropping the table, drop table name, then select star from audit table. So who did that? Yeah, login name. Right now I am using a general login, means SA, or if there is a other security point of view, means we are not giving the SA to the other users. We are giving the billing user or something like that, so that they can we can easily track who did that, and yeah, when that action is happened. Got it. This is the auditing, and it is nothing but the we are restricting that changes to the database. Means here we are allowing that things, but who we have to track, then we can do this activity. And event data is the function. With the help of that we are capturing the um, this information. Means let's say event data is the function and it contains the XML, and from that XML we are capturing the database name, object name, login name, and TSQL command, which command is came to the database. And same thing we can do it for the stored procedure level as well. Means what was the changes are happened in the stored procedure while altering the stored procedure. Means we can easily track what are the changes come to the database. And we how to drop a means there is a two to three things means we can drop the trigger name on database. So yes, we can do that. And we can enable or disable. Got it? Means in this session, summary point of view, we seen DDL events means like a create, alter, drop, and there are some security related things as well. But right now we seen only the create, alter, drop, and which are the objects means table, function, then view, stored procedure. We can apply the triggers on it. Means we why we are applying this to track the changes, correct? And then uh, we can prevent that changes as well. Means we can restrict, prevent or restrict. And then if we have to allow that changes, then we can track that changes, who did that and when that changes are happen on the database. Got it? So yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please share it and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. Bye bye.